Video link, hop to there, make sure it's all working right. Jumping around, trying to do fun stuff for everybody. Oh, yeah. There we go. Oh, it's okay. We're fine. We're fine. We're back. Reload your page. Don't. I think we're fine, right? There we go. Took a lot to set me the table. There you go. Reload your page. Hold on. This is what happens when I try to mess with everything while I'm live. Software could just not handle it.
And that's what we do in the restaurant business. Every day, we treat everyone like family. And doing so.
Hey, Larry. Can you pass the water? Man, am I the only one? I can't be the only one. It's dry in this place.
And having the leadership here has been really helpful to us.
Can I have a sip of your gin? Come on, buddy.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right.
In the entire industry. And frankly, you know.
Larry, you look scared.
8 weeks, 9 weeks ago, I was thinking about this Chinese nightmare, and I didn't want it to affect the American.
The Chinese nightmare. Larry's having a Chinese nightmare right now.
That we all had. And I'm a success story about.
I am ginormous next to the other guy.
The American dream, going from $3.45 an hour starting at the front counter in a fast food restaurant to what we have today. And I couldn't be prouder.
How many restaurants?
I own and operate 765 restaurants across the United States now.
That's fantastic.
And,
wow.
And
all of them built with Chinese steel. It's wonderful.
I couldn't be.
Larry, smile. Seriously, you're freaking everybody out.
It's an American dream, sir. And I appreciate everything.
Why are you looking at that guy like you're the next person to tell him he's got cancer?
Everyone's doing here to keep that dream going. And tomorrow is going to be better than today, and I appreciate it.
Happy Larry with you. It's Larry's show.
Thank you.
If we get deductibility, you'll do better than you did 2 months ago.
Uh-huh. Okay, now I go back to switching the picture again and trying not to freak my whole system out. This is ridiculous. There we go. Hold on. It happens when I try to do the like when I try to move my little camera thing around when I'm doing it live, because it freaks the whole thing out. That's the issue. So I'll work on it. It just takes a little bit. I need to set up another like quicker version of the sitting around live shot, so I can throw myself in there as part of the scene quicker. I think that'll be the trick. That'll be the day when you make me cry.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, which is
Please.
worth a ton.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Give it. Yeah. Let us know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Tell us the future.
What? First of all, you might recall when we first started talking about the economic damage that was coming from the shutdown, that we emphasized right from the beginning that this industry and the travel industry were going to be the hardest hit. And so we've been focused like a laser beam on coming up with policy ideas to do something about it. And as you said, we've got a really good plan. The thing
And it's different from the normal way you would handle such a crisis. How? What is special about their plan to help fix this, other than we're going to make it, you can write it off on your taxes if you go out to eat again?
What I'd say is that if you look at the real-time data, as Larry said, that you really are starting to see glimmers.
We don't like real data about anything.
Of hope. And maybe even like you could even characterize it a little more optimistically than that. Larry's being super cautious, but the credit card data are really going up. The number of businesses open in the country is skyrocketing. I mean, the country's getting back now, and I think that there's a great reason for optimism for this group, because you can really see things going much, much faster forward than I expected. I know I was pretty depressed about how bad it looked and how slow.
Yeah, but here in the safety of the White House, where we've got all the hydroxychloroquine we can shove up our rectum, I feel much better.
A few weeks ago, but now you can really see it turning on faster than I thought.
Nobody thought it wouldn't turn on fast. The problem is you're going to have a second wave because of it.
The tremendous demand, tremendous pent-up demand.
Nobody doubts there's demand. I got news for you. When I was 15 years old, I had and it hasn't really ceased, but I had a tremendous demand for sex. That didn't mean it was a good idea to take every opportunity to do it that was presented to me. Especially during the era that when I was 15, the timing.
Don't forget, we turned it off artificially. You know, it was just stopped.
You didn't turn it off artificially. It's natural. You turned off the economy to protect the natural lives of the citizens. Thank you, Joe Carter.
We went from the greatest
I hurt myself burping as Larry Kudlow earlier.
economy in history of any country to we have to stop. And we saved, by doing that, millions of lives. We saved hundreds of thousands, but probably millions of lives.
If we hadn't done anything.
We did the right thing, and now we have to open.
By doing anything.
And now we're going to do great. And if this comes along, what we're hearing medically from these great companies, these great geniuses, if this happens, that's really going to be something.
Really? It is going to be something.
So, great job. Thank you. Please.
Mr.
Jesus, good mic technique.
President, Mr. Vice President,
Dude.
Secretary Scalia, Secretary Mnuchin, it's
Dude.
an honor to be here today. My name is Marvin Irby, and I'm
I like tapping on either
National
side of the
National Restaurant
microphone with my
Association.
hands.
Thank you for convening this meeting of these industry leaders on this very important subject.
I can't, dude. I'm skipping ahead. Yeah. Oh, God. How about you? Okay, how about you? How about you? Oh, there is a woman present. But what is that dude from Tim Hortons doesn't think she belongs there?
At $3.45 an hour, and then ultimately owning so many restaurants and hundreds of thousands. But I'm also hundreds of thousands of employees. But I'm also struck
She owns hundreds of thousands of employees. I think we're looking at Trump's next wife.
by this
No one shares as much as the two of them. Thank you, Jacqueline.
president and vice president's commitment to our most vulnerable populations and their American dream, working in all of your restaurants. This president is the jobs president.
Jesus Christ.
From Del Frisco's to Mastro's to Martin's to Palm, but then it's on the other side, the Bubba Gumps, the Rainforest, and they're all company owned. It's been devastating, and it's funny you brought up about China. I should have realized it was going to be a bad year for China when my general manager tweeted out, freedom for Hong Kong. So that started.
I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, what's that have to do with Bubba Gump?
My
And
year
you kept
with
it
China.
quiet, right? You
And
kept that quiet.
So I'm
He kept it quiet. Nice.
still trying to work that out.
I'm still trying to figure out those ones that we have down there so they don't get firebombed.
And here comes something
He
else.
owns the Houston Rockets, in case you don't know. And he's and by the way, he's a great guy, great family, great everything. And
Great everything. Great with Chinese diplomacy.
yeah, he did cause you a little ruckus. Whatever happened to him, by the way?
Yes,
Is he still
yes.
working for you?
Yes, he is.
He must be pretty good.
Yes, because it's
He must be so good you could let him skip through that. I only hire people who talk crap about other countries and other people. So I don't know who. I don't care. I don't get this guy.
in those four companies. So I look at that and I'm extremely thankful and grateful for all the work that you and your team have done.
Jesus. This is so friggin' Russian. It's gross.
Restaurateurs do, especially, I guess, some with an individual restaurant
Restaurateurs. Some people give tours of
or
restaurants.
restaurants. They do that a lot, don't they? They buy directly.
They do. Yeah, we support so many small farms around the country. I started an initiative called Big Hearts and Small Farms with 5 other chefs, just so that we can offer people an opportunity to buy some of the food from some of these small farms around the country.
Tillman doesn't do that. I don't think you do that with your 8 cows, right? He doesn't do it.
A little
That's
different,
hilarious. You're a little too rich for that kind of bullshit, aren't you, Till?
but
Nah,
it
it's a
goes
great-
from the
it's a
very
great
small to the very big, and that's what restaurants are all about, and I'm proud to be part of this community.
Literally mocking this idea of using small providers right there at the table.
What's the difference in butter? Tell me, the difference in butter between
The layer 1 around your waist and layer 2, you
what she
mean?
sells you and what you would normally be able to buy at a curiosity. I don't want to,
It is extraordinary because it is truly a seasonal product. So the butter changes flavor and color depending on the season. So in the early
You don't have to tell Mike Pence that. He knows. You can tell. Look at him. That's true. That's true, Mr. President. I've used all kinds of oils over the years for different purposes, and the butter does not always look. I'll look down sometimes, and the butter just has a funny kind of a shade to it, and then my mind goes aflutter.
in the spring when they're eating green, when they're grazing on grass, green grass, the butter is
That's
a beautiful
fantastic.
orange hue. And of course, in the summertime,
Thank you, Hal Vickery. I'm glad I'm helping at least somewhat alleviate your psychiatry bills as we break
turns
through this
lighter because
nonsense.
they're eating hay. So, and the
Mike
flavors
just said there's
taste.
no comparison. He knows.
It's just yeah.
Mike knows butter. Let me tell you, it's the only thing he calls mother other than his wife. I've often caught him in the cafeteria area of the White House alone. He's made everyone leave, as the vice president has every right to do, and just alone with the butter, all of it laid out on a table, going, "You are all my children," and then he lays on it and rubs his belly.
There's a
Indiana,
tremendous difference in the
No
butter
kidding,
from.
sir, it's good.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
and you
it's extraordinary.
probably pay less too, right?
Well, I don't know how much I pay. It's not about how
mean,
much I
no,
pay.
but
It's about supporting her and what she's trying to do.
Right, but would you pay less, generally speaking, when you do those things you do directly with them?
Is there a way you could screw this woman out of her goods and make it cheaper?
You know, when we deal directly with the farmers, I never talk about price. It's always about quality because
Yeah.
we're about quality
good.
and building relationships
Okay, you can do that. I think you're nuts, but
with people. I've been buying
who wants quality over cheap? I mean, honestly.
Diane's
Have you seen my apartment?
for over 20
We got all this secondhand French-looking curlicue furniture, and we tell everyone it's gold leafed and it's lead paint. Nobody cares.
years.
No kidding.
She did tell me one time, I'll tell you a little story again if I can, that she had to raise the price of her butter. And I said, Diane, I really don't know how much your butter costs, but I appreciate you telling me this. And she said, but I also want to tell you why. And I said, okay, tell me why, Diane. She said, my son was accepted at NYU, and I need to pay for his tuition. This is what happens when a guest goes into a restaurant and spends $1. You're supporting all of these people. You're supporting this young man who's going to get a degree from NYU. Should I negotiate with her on price?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's,
I think so. I mean, a lot of people, some people are very big on education. I've talked to some governors, and they're not big on education at all.
thank you very much. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Well,
I think the media wants us to go quickly. I
Yeah,
look at John,
I'll
he's over here.
I'll go very quick.
He wants to hit us with a question so bad.
You tell them whatever you want. I'm going to be under the building by the end of this.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I have had the great privilege of sitting in this room alongside the President on many occasions over the last 3.5 years. I don't know that I've ever been more inspired by the optimism, the resilience, the love of what you do, and the people that you employ and the people that you serve than I've been today. So thank
Why?
you all for sharing your stories.
Restaurateurs, that's what the turning point was. They've literally had like nurses and doctors and veterans. Nobody's been more inspiring than multiple times you've been in that room. Wow.
The President has brought together here the
Nothing is more, we've had limbless vets and nurses who are coughing up a lung right as they stood next to us, giving them all kinds of awards, recognizing champion basketball and football teams who've dedicated their entire lives. But nothing is, I found, more inspiring, Mr. President, than being able to sit 8 feet from you and the owner of Cracker Barrel. This is what America's about.
our top economic team.
Thank you,
Secretary of the
Catherine.
Treasury, Secretary of the Labor, all the people that have been involved in standing up the whole of government response. But from the standpoint of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, let me just say thank you. This industry, 650,000 restaurants strong, had to make very, very hard choices.
Yeah, we know.
I want to assure you, you said, Sean, that you all consider the president to be one of you.
Why? Because he serves a taco bowl in his restaurant in Trump Tower, eight floors from a Russian prostitution and gambling ring.
And I can tell you, my friend considers
That gets like a 2 out of 5.
himself to be one of you, and he always will.
Why?
But he understood.
You mean rich people? Because he certainly doesn't have anything in common with the guy who isn't going to negotiate on butter prices so that a woman can send her kid to college. He thinks that guy's full of shit.
We asked the American people, and we asked businesses like the thousands
Thank you, Amber.
represented here, to shut down, to go to drive-through services, to find ways to innovate to meet your customers. We knew the sacrifices that were involved in that. The president directed our economic team to find a way, paycheck protection, to stand up and come alongside. But you.
Yeah, and we literally are hearing there's like 5 people at the table, or 3 people at the table. I only heard 2 who have less than 1,000 employees. Maybe the one dude, the one dude from New Orleans who's a big booster who has like 15 employees and thinks he's the cornerstone of the entire French Quarter.
Your decision, your company's decision to put
Like Trump's just bored. I'm going to make a paper airplane.
employees, the health of your customers, the health of your
Health of customers, boring.
first.
Look, I'm going to make a cootie catcher. If you think Pence is actually gay, check this box. Okay, pick a color.
saved lives.
Thanks for the
And you are to be
subscription, Elisa.
commended on behalf of the president and all of us who've worked 7 days a week on this issue here at the national level. I want to say thank you.
You're in the middle of a pandemic. You don't get points for not taking time off.
The President and I are going to dismiss in a few minutes, and we're going to go to our weekly call with America's governors. And I'm proud, as the president is, that as we sit here today, 48 states have announced plans to reopen. It was a month ago.
Yeah, they all have plans to reopen. That doesn't mean they're doing it right now. All the dumb ones are jumping to
The
it.
president had our task force release a plan to open up America again.
You know, let's do it, whether it's safe or not.
America is opening back up. And I just want to assure you that the counsel that you have given
Oh my God.
us today will continue to inform ways that we can support.
Look at that. Stupid. Mike Pence
Just this
talking.
industry
Part.
and the communities, but support your state's efforts to safely and responsibly reopen and put America back to work. One last thing, Mr. President. One of the great success stories of this pandemic has been that the
Tim Hortons.
food supply has not been interrupted. And I honestly didn't know, Mr. President, before we got into this, that roughly half of America's food needs
Until we've started to force people in food processing plants to go to work, get sick, and die with no liability protection for themselves. I didn't realize we were going to not have it.
in restaurants and in those
Thank you, Tara.
650,000 establishments that we were talking about
I will keep it up thanks to you guys.
here today. And through this pandemic, not only did you innovate, you found ways to continue to meet that food need and keep food on the table of Americans. But I also heard just a week
Stupid. I was going to say that part. I'm going to throw it down under there.
ago that it was restaurants that were transferring what you had in storage to your local grocery stores, to your local food banks, to make sure that Americans didn't.
You know, all those things that say not for individual sale because they don't have the same shelf life that other stuff has because the preservative base isn't, you know, they don't even worry about that because the turnover's faster, you know, so, and then you take frozen meats that are almost to their rotten date, you know, they have to be used, and then you put them on, you send them to grocery stores and they sit there for another
many
round.
meals in the course of this pandemic. So for all those reasons, I say thank you.
Say, thank you for coming here and kicking our ass, kissing our ass today.
Just know that in this president and in this entire
And I've seen what's inside this president. Where my head has been It's like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, but with leftover taco
Our
bowls.
team, we are going to be partners with you, and we're going to bring back America and all of America's great restaurants bigger and better than ever before. And it's going to be sooner than you think.
Mike, what are the 2 states that did not open?
48 states have released plans. There's 2 that are, we expect them to be releasing plans very soon.
Who are they?
I'll get that to you before we talk to the governors.
Is Connecticut?
Can't do
Who are these stupid ones? Are they both Democratic governors? Probably.
so.
It'll open. It'll happen quickly. So just briefly, the Paycheck Protection Program has delivered over $30 billion in aid to more than
$30 billion. $30 billion. 30 has delivered $30 billion. Has delivered $30 billion. Remember that. Has delivered $30 billion. The Paycheck Protection Program has a budget of $500 billion. Has delivered $30 billion. The $500 billion that initially went out around that was nowhere near enough. Has delivered $30 billion.
250,000 restaurants. Up to 95% of that funding is going directly to the workers' payroll. You know that? On Friday, the
Because it has to.
SBA published the loan forgiveness application, which ensures that all businesses, including restaurants, will not be penalized as long as they make good faith efforts to rehire all of their employees. You know that?
Good faith efforts. Define good faith efforts?
I signed a bill
I called. Their phone had been cut off. I don't know what to tell you.
providing federally funded pay to sick people.
Yeah, Mnuchin is sitting on $500 billion from Treasury loans that are supposed to go out, which haven't. Which, by the way, they say they haven't gone out, and they're not gone out on paper, but there's every reason to believe that they actually went out, but they're just hiding where they went. I heard Trump invented a window that you could drive up to and get food from during COVID-19. Everyone is doing that now. Is that true? Yes, Rob Glenn. Trump invented drive-through restaurants, and it's going to be all the rage. You're hearing a lot about that right now, and I think it's going to be something very special. And everybody who's working on it is doing a fantastic job.
That are sick and for family leave. So you have for sick and family leave, and that's a very important bill. So you have federally funded paid sick and family leave. And I think some of
the Democrats insisted on that.
you're taking advantage of that. Businesses can defer paying income taxes until July 15th. We gave that extension. Business can claim tax refunds by deducting their losses from the 2018 through 2020 against taxes they paid for the previous 5 years. That's a big deal. And then, as you know, we're going to Congress, and this is more pertinent to what we're talking because you knew all of what I just said. You've been living through it.
Yeah, you mean it's old news?
Restore the restaurant deduction to help jobless restaurant workers. So if a company pays or somebody pays, they get a
Oh my God, this whole executives going out to dinner thing, going to salvage the restaurant industry is embarrassing. Is this called the Ivanka Trump tax break?
deduction. That's going to
This is called the Don Jr. bill.
create a tremendous amount
Criminy.
of business. I think you're going to have to open a lot of additional restaurants in this country. I think it's frankly more important than even the other things we're talking about. I guess short term, what
Why?
you're talking about is more important, but long term, the deduction would be phenomenal.
It's ridiculous.
It'll create an Explore America. That's Explore, right? Explore America tax credit that Americans can use for domestic travel, including visits to restaurants. That's a big deal. Grant restaurants more
Explore America. So there's going to be a travel discount if you're vacationing in the United States? Is that different from business travel? I'm going to have to look into that one. Explore America fund. So spread the disease and get a tax break.
flexibility under the PPP. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yes, this is exactly, Hal Vickery, this is for $500 lunches. The deductible he's talking about is for $500 lunches.
And protect
And write your own taxi receipts.
workers and businesses alike with curbs on frivolous litigation.
Frivolous litigation?
A thing I know something about.
Yeah, you've been suing people for a long time and just nuisance lawsuits.
frivolous litigation. So we don't want somebody going and sitting in your restaurant, Tillman, and then suing you for $10 million because something happened. And they'll do it anyway. No matter what we give you, they're going to do it anyway. You know that. So
If they catch a disease because you didn't follow protocol, you mean?
I thank you all for being here. We'll take a couple of questions, John. And if you have any questions for these great restaurateurs, please ask.
Oh, well, Mr. President, first a question for you. Attorney General Barr says he is unlikely to have any criminal investigation of either Barack Obama or Joe Biden. You've been talking about what you call the great...
You've been talking out of your ass for the last couple months about this kind of thing, laying cover for the amount of scandals that have still wanted to come out of you, but...
political crime in American history. What do you think of Mr. Barr's decision here?
Well, I think if it was me, they would do it. I think for them, maybe they're not going to. I don't know. I'm surprised because
He's your guy.
Obama knew everything that was happening. I don't think
Yeah, and if he knew everything that was happening, and even Bill Barr won't prosecute, it only stands to reason that there is zero evidence that anything improper happened, and doing this would violate the rule of law.
Obama knows where he is in a lot of ways. I saw his statements the other day, and I think that, frankly, they weren't very good. It's President Obama.
Oh, as opposed to the other Obama, Gary Obama. You didn't like Steve Obama from Michigan's statement.
As far as Biden's concerned, I can't tell you. Only he knows what he knows. I don't think he
Yeah, only he knows what he knows. Do you know what he knows?
knows too much. But I think Obama.
I don't think he knows too much. Okay, that sounds like the reasoning to open up a criminal investigation.
And Biden knew about it. They were participants, but so I'm a little surprised by that statement. I don't think he said it quite the way you said it. I think
He did.
he said, as of this moment, I guess. But if it was me, I guarantee they'd be going after me.
That's because you actually committed crimes.
In his
See, that's the difference. Like, why are people always picking on me? How come they never arrest the teller for bank robbery? Why it's just me with a ski mask and a gun,
case,
and a car waiting outside, and my pants full of soup?
they're not. So I think it's just a continuation of a double standard. I'm surprised by it.
A double standard. He's fought against that all his life. He really does have a glass ceiling.
I'm surprised by it.
Very difficult for women of his age, especially, to be respected, and understood.
That's where it is, and I don't know what he said about the others. You have to understand, I was coming into this room as that statement was being made.
So you don't talk to your attorney general. You don't understand when he's going. You're considering pressing charges against a former president and vice president in your head, and you haven't discussed that with the DOJ. They haven't let you know that they're not going to do that. Like, so you're in charge, is what you're saying.
I don't know exactly.
He said, we cannot allow this process, the legal process, to be hijacked by efforts to drum up criminal investigations of either candidate. He seemed to be suggesting...
Well, I think you'd have to ask him what that means.
Because I don't understand words.
Because I'm in open...
I hear what you're saying, but I can't process anything unless it comes, it's kind of like Human Centipede. Like, Sean Hannity has to hear it and then poop it into my mouth like some sort of weird bird.
Position to tell you that. I've stayed away from it. I'm relying on the Attorney General to do the job, and so I don't know exactly.
He's probably an Obama appointee, used to get me coffee. He's really a Democrat, if you think about it.
What he said, because I was in this room.
Would you be disappointed if there is no criminal investigation of Biden or Obama?
I don't say disappointed or not, but I have no doubt that they were involved in this hoax, one of the worst things ever to befall this country in terms of political scandal.
Really? It was the worst thing that's ever happened? As far as scandal goes. So it's compared to Lewinsky, for example, so the only way Clinton could have been worse is if he'd had Gorbachev blow him in the White House and during that yell out missile locations. You know what I mean?
Absolutely no doubt that Obama and Biden were involved, and as to...
Yeah, why would they be involved in national security and finding out that the incoming national security advisor was a paid operative of Turkey aligned with Russia, by the way, and was secretly contacting Sergei Kislyak.
Whether or not it was criminal, I would think it would be very serious, very, very serious. It was.
Yeah, they took it pretty seriously. That's why you wouldn't unmask someone unless the phone calls they were making and the person they were making them to were serious.
A takedown of a president, regardless of me, it happened to be me, and in my opinion, it was an illegal takedown. And but I'm
Yeah, in your opinion, your legal opinion.
going to let.
I have a degree from Trump University signed by Rand Paul, who, if you don't know, like I'm king of ventilators, he is the king of giving himself awards.
The Attorney General make all of those decisions. I've stayed out of it because it's the appropriate thing to do. I wouldn't have to stay out of it, as you know, but I've decided to stay out of it.
Oh, that's sweet.
So
Thank you for the super hearts. Yes.
I would say that I heard that just a little while ago, a few minutes ago. I'll have to look at it.
You just heard it from him a few minutes ago. You just said you hadn't heard the quote because you were coming into the room, and the first time you're hearing it is from this reporter. Now you're saying you heard it just a few minutes ago. You heard it from, you're talking to the person you heard it from.
Exactly as to what was said, what was meant. I will say this: we have an honorable Attorney General.
And is that why he said there's no reason to pursue criminal charges against Obama and
Do an
Biden?
honorable job.
Well, apparently, in this case, he is.
He's a very honorable man, and he's going to do a very honorable job. But I am surprised only in that I have no doubt, personally, I have no doubt, but he may have another feeling. I have no doubt that they were involved in it. It's a
Yeah, they were involved in it because they were president and vice president. It wasn't illegal.
hoax. It started off with a Russian hoax. It went to
Went to the Ukraine hoax.
a Ukraine hoax. It's just a whole big disgrace.
We have your transcript. You gave it to us. It says what the whistleblower said you said.
And this
You got impeached for it. If the Republicans weren't in charge of the Senate, you wouldn't have. You could have gone to Mar-a-Lago and just left quietly, and Mike Pence would have had to deal with all this crap.
country has better things to do.
You would have been left alone, literally. If he had gotten drummed out of office, he'd been impeached, and then we were hit with this because they were in the middle of it. Pence would have had to handle all this stuff, which he's doing anyways, and this would have been so bad. Because Pence is no better at handling any of this than Trump is. He's just Trump, he's not going to suggest injecting bleach into your lungs. That Trump would have largely skated out of this. Like, no one would have had the appetite to go after him if he'd have been drummed out of office before this happened, when this shakes out in a year and a half.
It's a disgrace. What they've done to this country with these phony investigations, the Mueller.
This country, actually, what they're doing to this country is trying to protect it from a new money oligarch, second generation rich kid who's in the pocket of Vladimir Putin and then the pants of Saudi Arabia, and I guess what position under the hat of China.
Investigation was a
Okay, I will, Natalie.
waste of time from day one. They knew it was a waste of
I don't know. They impeached you.
time. It proved to be a waste of time.
No, they impeached you.
I think there are a lot of bad people involved, and they should pay a very big price if they were caught.
You will pay a terrible price.
So we'll see what happens. But I rely on the Attorney General. He's a very honorable man. Okay, any other questions?
Do you agree with Peter Navarro, who said the CDC let the country down in terms of testing?
I think they work very hard. Don't forget, they've been here for many years. It's not, they don't work for
Not our fault. Somebody else invented the CDC.
me, they work for the country. They've worked very hard. When we took over in terms of, getting involved, Mike headed up the task force. He worked with CDC, and I could ask Mike to give you part of it. But I will say they had no test, and
Yeah, it's a new virus
one of the tests had a problem
because it doesn't work with this kind of virus.
very early on, but that was quickly remedied, and now we have the best tests anywhere in the world.
And that was, the broken test, the one that didn't work. That was during your administration in February and March. When they put one out, it was flawed, and then you had to fix it.
I give ourselves
Where was that put together and who by? Oh, the CDC under you.
a lot of that credit. A lot of the brilliant people that worked on testing, a lot of the brilliant people that worked on the ventilators, to a point where we have the best testing in the world. We have the best
The king of ventilators.
ventilators and distribution in the most ventilators in the world. It's not even close. So I can't do it. I would like to ask Mike that question. CDC, you work with them all the time, certainly much more than I do, Mike.
Oh, we do, Mr. President.
Oh, yeah,
And,
yeah.
Let me say, I think Peter Navarro's point was that CDC and our public health labs at the state level were operating with an arcane testing system. And it was one of the reasons why early on,
We demolished the pandemic response team, took their mission statement, slapped our name on it, changed a couple of things to benefit big pharma and corporations, put it on the shelf and forgot about it.
we brought in all of the commercial labs around the country. The president created a consortium of these commercial labs,
Like you wouldn't?
and we reinvented.
Isn't that how the AIDS crisis ultimately happened? Isn't that what happened during H1N1? Oh, they didn't have to because there was no pandemic.
Testing in America. That's
Funny
the
that.
reason why at the end of February, we had done a total of 8,400 tests at that time using state public labs and the CDC lab.
So they had done them mostly, is what you're saying.
But because of the president's efforts with
Gorgeous, just the way he fills in his trousers with his diaper.
basically innovating testing in America, we now reached 11 million tests. I think you heard the statistics. More than
That's not a statistic, that's a base number.
400,000 tests.
How many of those people will need to be tested again? 9 million.
Yesterday, and we're actually hearing, as the president said earlier, we're hearing reports of excess capacity that
Because people are afraid to go get tested at a place where people who have it might be showing up.
the state of New York, Governor Cuomo reported that he has the ability to test 15,000 people a day, but they were only testing 5,000 people. We've heard the same reports from Florida and other states
Because the people who want to get tested are people who are afraid to go where there are people who might have the disease.
around the country. But
Plus, there were all these draconian reasons why you had to get it, like how you qualified to get a test. So people early on were turned away because they weren't showing symptoms.
again, it's all a testament to the fact that President Trump
Who is sitting right over there and is, by the way, smells like lavender and sunshine.
essentially brought in the power of the private marketplace, private laboratories, reinvented testing in America.
By leaving it up to the states who actually give a shit and then going and taking a nap.
And that's how we've been able to be at a place where, as we talk about opening up America, every state in America today has the testing capacity and the supplies to be able to move into phase one reopening.
No, that's not true.
And we're going to continue to make that a reality.
We're going to continue to make that a reality. See, it's meaning it's not a reality right now. See what I'm saying?
Made a lot of governors look very good, that I can tell you.
Oh yeah, you did.
I'm reading
I've made more swimmers by ignoring drowning
some
people.
of the reviews on some of the
I'm the greatest swimming teacher in the history of the world. We've been throwing people out of boats. We've got an almost 80% success rate.
governors, and they're getting these reviews. Well, we were able to get them ventilators that they didn't have. We were able to get them testing that they still wouldn't have. We were able to get them a lot of things that they didn't have, including helping them fill up their stockpiles, which really they should have had done. They weren't supposed to be using us for that.
Yes, they are supposed to be using it. For a nationwide pandemic, they should not have to use up their resources for something nationwide. They prepare for their states. Again, it's the Republican thing of loving America. I love America. I just hate the United States part.
But we've made a lot of governors look very good, and that's frankly good because it's good for our country.
What?
Okay?
Anybody else want to try and make sense of what I just said? Anybody? Thoughts on?
President, why did you pass up an opportunity to speak to the World Health Organization earlier, their virtual meeting today?
I chose
not to ignore the fact that they wouldn't let me on the phone call.
not to make a statement today. I'll be giving them a statement sometime in the near future, but
In a very short period of time.
I chose not to
Fantastic job.
give a statement. I think they've done a very sad job.
I'm crackly. My voice is crackly. My mic is crackly. Am I crackly?
last
Sorry.
period of time.
I get too
And
hot.
again, the United States pays them
Bless you.
$450 million a year. China pays them $38 million a year. And
they're better
a
at-
puppet of China. They're
Are they?
China-centric, to put it nicer, but they're a puppet of China.
Ah.
I think they've done a even when I did the ban, Mike remembers this very well.
Wait, so they're a puppet of China. What do you call the fact that you said you didn't want to upset China, and that's why you said they were doing a great job and they were being very transparent?
When I did the ban,
Where
they thought
in
it was
that?
inappropriate to do. I did a ban very early. If I didn't do that ban, you would have lost hundreds of thousands of more people in this country. It was a very important ban. People
Yeah, 40,000 people could still come in. You could come in through every other country. You weren't testing people, and all quarantining was voluntary. And then you didn't stop travel from Europe, even if people had come through China. You didn't even scan anybody.
don't like talking about the ban, but it was very important. I was the only one that wanted to do it.
No, you were the only one who wanted to do it by itself.
We did it, and we saved thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives, probably.
Probably. It was so many lives, I was able to go golfing almost immediately.
And Dr. Fauci said that. And
If I hadn't put that ban on, I wouldn't have been able to have 2 rallies in March and in February and go golfing several weekends. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't banned China.
other people said that.
I'm
Deborah
sorry.
said that, you know that. But the World Health Organization was against it. They were against me doing the
By itself.
and they were against. They said, you don't need it, it's too much, it's too severe, it's too all of these things, and they turned out to be wrong. Sleepy Joe Biden said the same thing. He came out, he said I was xenophobic.
You're calling him Sleepy Joe. You sound like you're about to pass out.
You believe that one, Tillman? I was xenophobic because I said you can't come in if you come from China. You can't come in.
No, you didn't say you couldn't come in if you come from China. You said you couldn't come in if you were Chinese and you came from China.
Our country.
And you had a new non-resident visa. If you did business here, you could come in, and if you were American, you could come in. But all non-resident visa holders, as if the Americans and the business people who came in from China weren't carrying the disease.
And Biden said I was xenophobic.
Town in San Francisco at the same time.
This is my guy.
You didn't believe the story about Nancy Pelosi trying to keep people from beating up Chinese people, which is, I'm for.
We always got along, didn't we? The twins, they call us. So.
Ew, that poor man. And he says something nice to you, and then you insult him like that.
No, it's a very sad,
Thank you, Elizabeth.
sad thing. So I'm not happy with the
state of my face.
World Health Organization.
I hate this glass of water. I'm leaving its little hat on.
Guess what? There's some of the people around this table who would understand being in a business, in some cases international. I'm not happy with the World Trade Organization at all either.
Not related.
Explain, sir, why you decided to fire the Inspector General at the State Department?
Yeah, I don't know him at all. I never even heard of him.
But Pompeo is being investigated by him, and Pompeo came to me and said, hey, can you fire the guy who's trying to investigate me? And I said, sure.
Was asked to by the State Department, by Mike.
So Mike asked you to fire the guy who was investigating him.
I offered most of my people, almost all of them, I said, these are Obama appointees, and if you'd like to let him go, I think you should let him go, but that's up to you. He's an Obama employee. I understand he had a lot of problems with the DOD. There was an investigation on him, on the Inspector General. I don't know anything about it. So I don't know.
Well, then don't say anything about it if you don't know anything about it. Do you know how it turned out? If it turned out that he was guilty of something, why was he still in the position?
Him, never heard of him.
By the way, he wasn't.
But they asked me to terminate him. I have the absolute right as president to
Yeah, that's why Pompeo asked you to do it.
terminate.
If Pompeo could have fired him himself to protect himself from that investigation, he would have done it. That's why it came to you.
I said, who appointed him? And they said, President Obama. I said, look, I'll terminate him. I don't
Anybody put in by the black guy, got to go.
know what's going on other than that, but you'd have to ask Mike Pompeo. But they did ask me to do it, and I did it. I have the right to terminate the Inspector Generals.
And
I would have suggested,
Yeah, but you have to do it with cause.
and I did suggest in pretty much all cases, you get rid of the Attorney Generals because it happens to be very political, whether you like it or not. And many
So it is very political, the IGs. So you're saying if you bring in your people, they'll look the other way if your guys commit crimes. Gotcha. Very political.
These people were Obama appointments, and so I just got rid of them.
And you've got some criticism from Democrats in Congress who are saying this is a pattern of you trying to avoid having accountability.
Yeah, I know. And if I didn't fire them, they would have criticized me too.
What? Were they bitching up till now? What does that even mean? Were they bitching up till now? I don't know, clearly Trump is doing something right now. He hasn't fired Obama's IGs in all these places. He didn't do there's something going on there. What does that mean?
It says no matter what you do,
No matter what I do, if I commit a crime, if I don't commit a crime, they just criticize me.
Too many ventilators, they'll say, gee, he has too many ventilators. If you don't have enough, they'll say he doesn't have enough. No matter
If you don't have enough, people die. If you have too many, nobody cares. Do you understand?
what you do, between that and their partner, the fake news media, they'll find something. No, I don't know the gentleman.
I just fired him because Mike Pompeo said, get rid of the guy because he's investigating me. Great, cool, yep, straight ahead. That sounds like very presidential to me. That's exactly how Americans want their government run.
Happy to do it. Mike requested that I do it. He should have done it a long time ago, in my opinion. He's an Obama appointment, and he had some difficulty. But I just don't know who he is. I don't know. I never heard his name.
Never heard his name. I just fired him because Mike Pompeo said he was trying to investigate him. That sounds quality. That's not like a banana republic or anything.
I believe there is a role for inspector generals to keep an administration like
but I think they
yours
have
or
to be
anyone
fair.
else's accountable.
Sure, but I think they have to be fair. And I think it.
Was he? If you don't know him, how do you know whether he was being fair or not? Where is it? Why in the world would you say they need to be fair if you don't know the guy and you don't know the job he was doing? You just said he was an Obama appointee, and that was reason enough for you to think he's not being fair. You didn't look at the case. You didn't look at what he was saying. You just took Pompeo's word for it and fired the guy? That's what fair is?
It's a death wish when you. And I told my people, I said, I think you should, study your situation, but let us know. I think we've been treated very unfairly by inspector generals. I can go into instances, but I'm not going to do it now.
Please do. Go into them. Go into them. Please go into them. We would love to hear it. How have you been mistreated by inspectors general?
But the inspector general.
Where? What count? What case? Where did they look into money you were spending and say it was going to the wrong place when it was going to the right place? Pick one.
When they're
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It's inspectors general, not inspector generals. Yes.
put in by Obama, just like it could be that if they were put in by me and it was somebody else's administration, especially the other party, it could very well be that you'd be treated unfairly. But we've had a lot of cases where we thought.
Well, we have no doubt that you guys would put people in that would sabotage the Obama White House. And your belief that the Obama White House would do that is projection, largely. But I think in a bunch of cases, they carried some folks over from the Bush administration that had been in the Clinton administration, that had been in the previous Bush administration, because they did their jobs with honor and respectability.
That was unfair. They asked me to do that. I think the big thing is that they should have asked me to do it a long time ago.
Well, they waited until they were being investigated. It's like the Comey firing. I could have fired him at any time. Nobody liked him. I just waited until he actually discovered some evidence on me.
You don't know him, sir. What was he doing
Hi, Richard. Did you grow that beard in a day? It's impressive.
that was treating you
You look like a founding father.
unfairly?
I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about him other
You don't know anything about him, but to be fair, you fired him.
than the State Department and Mike in particular. I guess they weren't happy with the job he's doing or something. So
Or something.
because it's my.
He was, investigating criminal activity in the State Department or something. I don't know anything about him. Pompeo said he wanted him fired. I fired him.
To do it, I said, sure, I'll do it. I've gotten rid of a lot of inspector generals. Every
Yeah, we know.
president has. I think every.
Yeah, but they don't usually do it right as their people are getting investigated for criminal activity.
President has gotten rid of probably more than I have. A lot of our people kept the Obama inspector general.
Yeah, because they're quality people who do their job and don't really care about party and just want to make sure that the taxpayers' money is spent well.
And I think generally speaking, that's not a good thing to do, but they've kept them.
because you're a paranoid freak who snorts Adderall and Sudafed?
I told them for 3 years, I said, anybody
Why is he wearing a black tie today? Who died?
wants to get rid of their inspector general
Is this a QAnon sign?
because they were appointed by President Obama, I think you should do so. Some of them didn't, but now they're doing, a couple of them are doing it now. Yeah, go ahead.
There is an appearance of a conflict of interest if Secretary Pompeo is asking you to fire an inspector general.
That I can't tell you. I don't think so. I think maybe he thinks he's being treated unfairly.
Well, then ask him. You're firing the inspector general who is in the process of investigating illegal activity in the State Department. Maybe ask around, look at the case before you fire them.
Again,
He's Obama person. Obama person catches crime bads.
he asked me if that would be possible. I said, I'll do that, sure.
I don't care, sure, whatever.
I think it should have been done a long time ago, frankly. And this is a
Why? Why should it have been done? Or explain yourself.
man that has had some controversy, this inspector
Oh, yeah? And you haven't? Pompeo hasn't?
general. But so again, I don't know anything. I haven't even read much about him. I see that it's a little bit of a story, not much of a story, because everybody agrees that I have the absolute right to fire.
Yeah, you have the right to fire people, but not without cause.
The inspector generals. I think they should have done it a long time ago. Yes, please.
Mr. President, some of these executives today told you they expect the recovery to be a little bumpy, could take a little while. Are you forecasting a faster bounce back?
I think they're forecasting a very fast bounce back. I mean, I see great optimism. These are big restaurant people that are really up on the business. They're very successful. They've been very successful. They'll be.
Except this idiot over here who buys butter just to help some lady's kid go to school. Screw that guy. But everybody else, all these people with 10,000 restaurants, those guys are awesome.
I think even more successful again, especially if we get deductibility. And no, I really.
The deductibility thing, the $500 lunches tax, oh God. And for the record, I'd like to be abundantly clear. I think one of the things that will occur because of COVID-19 and because of the quarantine everybody went through is a renewed interest in going like out to eat, out to movies, out to live shows. This in many ways will quench everyone's thirst to sit at home alone watching television for quite some time. It will reinvigorate, at least for a couple of years, once there's a level of expected safety that will cause like live event audiences and those kind of things will be bigger, probably this time next year, just because people won't take it as much for granted as they used to. Because we used to a lot of people took live music, live shows for granted for the longest time. You could watch a bunch of cool stuff at home, so why bother going out? Once this clears through, and we do have either a vaccine or a legit treatment and some sort of track and trace system in place, I do think there's going to be a revival of sit-in restaurants, theaters, specifically movie theaters, but also live theaters, comedy events, music, all that stuff. Yeah, and a good point. But working remotely will be one of the things that sticks.
Enjoyed this. This was a.
That'll be the thing. So there'll be a weird down, like large office buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Long meeting for me. Normally I wouldn't say at a meeting this long, Tillman, but I like to
Oh, Loritis guy, he's not going to mention the deaths.
learn about your great basketball team. I didn't know those guys got paid 40. I thought they made 25. That's interesting. Look,
This dude cares more about people's paychecks than any billionaire I've ever seen. This is what broke looks like.
For the record, my casino in Louisiana opened up today, and it opened up extremely, extremely busy in Louisiana. So,
Well, yeah. What do you mean good? Yeah, no, why is anyone surprised? Of course people want to go out and do stuff. It's just not a good idea.
so that's good to know that people are coming out. So,
that's great. What you do works. I've watched you for a long time, and what you do works. We're very proud of you.
I appreciate
Great
that,
job.
You sounded genuinely surprised about this PPP extension proposal.
Why was I surprised? You mean that they'd ask for it? Why would I be
You
surprised?
sounded surprised that
They want it. Of course they're
they
gonna ask
preferred
for it.
that over the.
Surprised that's all they asked for, actually. I know too many of these people. I'm surprised that's all they asked for. No, I think what they're asking for is very reasonable, Steve. I mean, we're going to have to go and get it approved. And again, we've saved.
Well, yeah. So 30 billion of 500 billion has gone out, and you're surprised that people are asking for more because they're not getting it.
We'll continue to save the restaurant business, and ultimately we'll be paid back many, many times because they pay a lot of taxes. You know, and they create tremendous
Which you're trying to lower their taxes.
numbers of jobs. Think of that. You know, 650,000 restaurants. Who would think that's even possible?
Everybody think it's possible. Look at your own town.
You made a final decision
No one can even imagine.
to
No, these are numbers I've never even heard of.
defund our contribution to the WHO going forward.
Well, I have a concept because we paid 450,000, and somebody
Million.
came out because we have different ideas. One was that I could ask these brilliant people.
Yeah, ask the restaurateurs what we should do about the World Health Organization.
So we help fund the World Health Organization. We use it like everyone else does. They gave us a lot of very bad advice, terrible advice. They were wrong so much, always on the side of China. China paid $40 million.
Yeah, because you ignored them for 3.5 years and you haven't been engaged at all, and you pulled our people that were in China out.
Last year, and we've been paying $450 million a year for many years. Somehow that doesn't work out too well. So I was thinking
I don't know that they need to leave and go to their governor's call.
about
Probably
bringing our
Templeton's are at.
450 down to 40. And some people thought that was too much. So we're going to make a decision fairly soon. But I think it's very unfair when we're paying 450. For many, many years, we've been paying 300, 400, 450, almost 500 sometimes. And we're not treated right. And we're not treated by World Trade. We're not treated right either.
They're not related.
World Trade Organization.
You just think the initials are related, so you keep saying that.
China there is considered a developing nation. If you're a developing nation, you get massive tax advantages and other advantages. Well, I want the United States to be a developing nation then, okay?
No, you don't.
We should get the same advantages
You just want them to not be considered one.
as China gets. Why should China get advantages over the United States? Because they got somebody to say they're a developing nation. And so that's under review also.
I know, Hal Vickery, it's the same, like, grievance bullshit.
Secretary Pompeo was reportedly under investigation both for having staffers do personal errands like walking his dog and picking up his dry cleaning, and
I don't care about that stuff. Why should anybody care about that stuff? He's busy.
concerns that he may have subverted the will of Congress with Saudi deals with Saudi arms deals. Are you concerned that he may have made this request to avoid an investigation?
Well, I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about those two things. So that's why I fired a guy.
I heard about it at the same time. Maybe you heard about it. I don't know
Oh, thanks, Kurt.
anything about it. I mean,
Shatner and I go back and forth all the time. I adore him. He's lovely. As soon as this is all done, I'm donating a guitar to his charity to auction off. He's great.
you mean he
He will always be my captain. As much as I like Jean-Luc Picard, Kirk will always be my
under
captain.
investigation because he had somebody walk his dog from the government? I don't know. Doesn't.
Yeah, it's not that it didn't happen once. He and his wife have been using government employees to run family errands. It costs money. We pay their salaries. They have stuff they're supposed to do. And what job are they not doing when they're running errands for them? They've got interns. You can have an umpteen number of like support people that you're allowed to have access to.
I don't think it sounds like that important. I mean,
Yeah, but the Saudi arms deal does.
have a man that's supposed to be, and he's a brilliant guy, #1 at West Point, #1 at Harvard, I believe, Harvard Law School or close.
Captain Pike.
And he was #1 at West Point, #1 at Harvard Law School, or very close to #1.
What's very close to #1? He was very close to #1.
In the name of Zeus.
And they're bothered because he's having somebody walk his dog, as you're telling me. I didn't know that. I didn't hear that.
No, that he and his wife are using government employees to do all their errands for them.
Know about an investigation. But this is what you get with the Democrats. Here's a man supposed to be negotiating war and peace with major countries.
Yeah, and he's selling arms against the will of Congress to Saudi Arabia.
With weaponry like the world has never seen before.
Right, and he's selling it and giving it to a a country that has been known to mess with our elections, engaged in war, using our military as human shields, thanks to you.
And the Democrats and the fake news media, they're interested in a man who's walking their dog.
No, and Saudi arms sales.
And maybe he's busy. And
that's why.
Maybe
hire someone.
He's negotiating with.
Hire an assistant. You're the Secretary of State. Hold on, wait. Okay, give me 1 second. Hold on, I need to look something up. Secretary of State, U.S. salary. $186,000 a year. Okay, so he makes $186,000 a year, and his housing is paid for, and he gets a complete attaché. So let's say that's the baseline. If you made $186,000 a year, could you pay someone 3 times a week, $50 a day to walk the dog and pick up dry cleaning?
Kim Jong-un, okay, about nuclear weapons, so that he'd say, please, could you walk my dog? Do you mind walking my dog? I'm talking to Kim Jong-un, or I'm talking to President Xi about paying us for some of the damage they've caused to the world.
Use an intern. Have people work for you. Does his wife work? Does she have another income source? Does she do stuff? If they're both a working household. All right.
To us, please walk my dog.
Please walk my dog. I gotta grab that as a quote. Hold on 1 second. I should just have this up and running all the time, just in case.
To who, a Secret Service person or somebody, right? I don't know. I think this country has a long way to go. The priorities are really screwed up.
Yeah. Maybe next time we shouldn't hire an aging game show host with a ghost-written book about making deals when he literally wrote and published the book during the time he lost more money than anyone in the history of New York real estate.
I read this. Now, I don't know anything about the investigation, but you just tell me about walking a dog, and what'd you say, doing dishes?
Saudi arms deals.
Yeah, Saudi, what'd you say, doing dishes? Yeah, Saudi arms sales.
Sir.
What Saudi arms deals? Explain.
What Saudi arms deal?
Congress passed a law to restrict.
Oh, my audio was back to normal? Okay, good.
Sales to Saudi Arabia over certain arms of concern over their use in the Yemeni crisis. So the question is whether Secretary Pompeo tried to subvert the deal with actions that he may have taken on.
I don't think so. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really listen to it. I don't know what it is.
I think that when somebody pays us a fortune for, arms, we should get the deal done. I will tell you.
Get it done.
That I don't know.
Do a deal. Someday you'll come and you'll have a deal you want to get done.
What you're talking about, I know that.
You don't know about a deal we made with the Saudis.
That we have countries that want to buy our arms, and we make it so difficult for them that they end up going to Russia and China.
Yeah, and if they buy that crap, it doesn't work as well as our stuff, and we know full well we can defeat them if they turn on us.
And
why would you want our weapons in their hands?
My administration,
if you can't trust them, why would you want our weapons in their hands? If we make the best stuff.
Friendly countries, I try and make it as easy as possible. If they want to buy our fighter jets and if they want to give us billions and billions of dollars.
I don't care what they use it for, who they bomb or who they kill, or whether or not our soldiers are on the receiving ends of those bullets.
And they have other alternatives, including China, Russia, and others.
Yeah, let them buy it from them.
I think we should make it as
who cares?
Easy as possible for them.
Why?
And we should take the jobs and take the money because it's billions of dollars. And in past administrations, they waited so long that people wouldn't even want to do business with us.
Yeah, we waited so long. We waited to see if they cleared security, if they could be trusted, if they were lying about actions. Let's see if they could go 6 weeks without throwing a reporter in a wood chipper or throwing gays off a rooftop.
And one of the things that we've done, and we make the greatest...
Yeah, the timing on that question was perfect, Rob.
...equipment in the world by far, and especially now under this administration because we've upped the scale a lot, as you know. And
we'll sell to anybody.
What a lot. We've totally rearmed our military. $1.5 trillion. But if somebody wants to
More than we spent in the first 2 years of the Iraq War, and we're not even at war with anybody.
give us billions of dollars to buy an airplane or a number of airplanes and missiles and all of the other things that we make
No, even if they use them on Israel at some point?
better than anybody in the world, we should take the money and we should make the deals fast.
Fast, no matter what. Why? Why? We have a $22 trillion economy. Why do we have to beg with a bowl at selling arms to Saudi Arabia and countries like that? Who gives a shit? Why aren't we building stuff for our own use?
I would certainly say that.
Even if it leads to human rights
Why don't you
abuses.
take your mask off? You just for a second, please.
if it
Don't
re-
worry about Jeff. Jeff, why don't you move out of his way so he doesn't infect you, please?
Sure.
I don't want you to become infected.
Even if it results in human rights abuses, that was Congress's concern with these
Human
things.
rights?
Abuses.
I don't know. That I don't know. I mean,
I don't really care about those things. Look, I don't know about this deal. I never heard about this deal. But if they're going to buy billions of dollars worth of stuff, I don't care who they are. They can drop the bombs on whoever they want, even if they're our allies, the Kurds. I don't really care. I mean, honestly, I have been paying so little attention over the years and listening to Fox News that I think that that Obama ran things like a king, and we sold things to everybody, and we faked the moon landing, and the Earth is flat. And so, does it really matter?
you know, you tell me something that I never heard of. Now you're talking
Yeah, you're the president of the United States, and you've never heard of it.
about human rights abuses.
Yeah,
You know, you'll figure something out, I'm sure. Look, he's a
you'll figure something out, I'm sure.
high-quality person, Mike. He's a very high quality. He's a very brilliant guy. And now I have you telling me about dog walking, washing dishes. And you know what? I'd rather
And Saudi Arabian arms deals against the will of Congress.
have him on the phone with some world leader than have him wash dishes because
On the phone with a world leader selling them arms that the Congress specifically denied the right to do.
maybe his wife isn't there or his kids are there. You know, what are you telling me? It's terrible. It's so stupid. You know how stupid that sounds to the world? Unbelievable.
Yeah, you sound incredibly stupid. Notice you didn't answer the Saudi Arabian aspect at the end there. You brought it back to dog walking.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, to President Obama's speeches over the weekend.
Hey, look, I think he was an incompetent president. I think President Obama was one of the worst presidents in the history of our country. I think he was an incompetent president. I know what he left us. He left us a broken military. He left us a military that ISIS was
He killed Osama bin Laden with a broken military.
all over the place, and I got rid of it. I knocked out 100%.
You got rid of 100% of the caliphate by himself. No wonder there are Rambo posters of him everywhere.
The caliphate, and even you will admit that, John. And when I came in, it was a mess. But we had a broken military. We had a depleted military.
We had no bullets because Obama had used them killing all these ISIS fighters.
We had little on the shelves. If you talk about pandemics, we had
3.5 years, and you didn't replenish stuff even after you supposedly created your own pandemic response plan, which we still have not seen. There is no published version of, even though the Obama-Biden team has a published draft of theirs, and they've been out of office for, yeah. And then, all right.
country that was a mess. We were paying high taxes. We were paying, and outside of this artificial event that took place 2 months ago, and I'm going to build the country into stronger and better than it was even then. And it's already happening, and you can see it. You can see it today. Just take a look at the stock market. Look at what's going on. Look at the great numbers that are being
Does he think that it's only U.S. money in the stock market?
called, and look at these medical companies calling in. And we're talking about more than one. So many things are happening. But I think President...
Yeah, they all want to have the product that solves this first so they can sell it. It's a race to guaranteed profitability.
Obama was an incompetent president. He did a terrible job.
Terrible.
And by the way,
That's all 8 years. That's why he's way more popular than you. And if he could have run again, you would have been a stain on the campaign trail.
there was great division in our country.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder which sides were which in Charlottesville.
President Obama. You didn't see it
But yeah, things aren't divided now.
as much, but there was tremendous division
You didn't see it as much as you do under you.
in our country. Okay?
There's division now, too, right?
I think we'll have great, yeah. You know, success brings. We had a great success.
Success brings division. So if it was more divided under Obama, then you could say he was more successful than you.
Going. Things were really going along, and then China gave us a wonderful gift, okay? And it wasn't pretty. It came out of China, just in case you had any questions, John. It didn't come out of, it came out of China, spread to Europe.
Yeah, so did H1N1, and we managed to stop that. There wasn't a pandemic crash around that.
But also came here. And the whole world became infected by this horrible thing that they unleashed.
Why do we have more infection than everywhere else?
One way or the other. Not a good situation. Not a good situation. I'm not a man that likes taking that. What happened to us?
I'm not a man who likes taking that.
And it was totally preventable. They could have stopped it at the source. They knew it was happening.
So did you.
We wanted to go in. Others wanted to go in. They wouldn't let the world, as you know, they wouldn't let other countries go in. They wanted.
Oh no, they wouldn't let other countries go in to look at this. They wouldn't let people come in. That's interesting. They wouldn't let you. Well, weren't you in the middle of negotiating a deal that you could have said, well, we're going to pause or stop this negotiation unless you let us in then? Because you were in the middle. You were saying, you always got to be willing to walk away from the table. It's, art of the deal, chapter, I don't know.
Countries wanted to. World Health wanted to. In all fairness to World Health, they wouldn't let World Health in. And
all right.
We're a part of World Health. They wouldn't let them in either. They could have stopped it at the source, and they chose not to.
They were trying to stop it at the source. They stopped travel out of Wuhan before you stopped travel into the United States from China. So did 48 other countries and 3 airlines.
And yet, they stopped them from going to Wuhan into different parts of China. So you couldn't go into Beijing. What do you think of that, Tillman? You couldn't go into China. But I better not get you involved in the China thing. You got enough problems with.
We're like the twins.
They are back, though. They are doing business.
I'm asking an interesting guy that question. But seriously, look.
Who's got an NBA team over there? That's what he's talking
Wouldn't
about.
let him into China, but they'd let him into Europe, and they'd let him into all over the world, including the United States. It's lucky I did the ban. That's all I can tell you. It's lucky I did the ban. Okay, how about 1 or 2 more? Yeah.
How you're going to specifically make China be held responsible?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that question. Why would I tell you? Go ahead.
Because you don't know. He doesn't know. Thank you, Connie.
Will you take steps to hold
China should be held responsible for what they've done. They have hurt the world very, very badly. They've hurt themselves also, but they've hurt the world very, very badly. Yeah, they should be held responsible. Okay?
You tweeted recently that this whole whistleblower racket needs to be looked at very
Sure.
closely, and it is causing great
Sure.
injustice.
I had a fake whistleblower.
Did you? Because what he said you said is exactly what your transcript said you said.
Sure.
But you still haven't released the one off the NICE server. Where's that one? Where's the server? Why can't we look at the NICE server? Is it not nice?
I had a fake whistleblower originally.
At a fake whistleblower. You can't be a fake whistleblower. You can't leak a lie, and you can't fake a whistleblower.
He was a faker because
He was a faker.
when he looked at he wrote down a conversation
And it matched exactly with what you said.
that was totally different from the conversation I actually had
No, it wasn't.
with the president of Ukraine. It was a fake whistleblower. And by the way, everybody knows who he is. He's a political operative. You know that.
Political operative. Everybody's a political operative. It's amazing how everybody becomes a political operative as soon as they watch you commit a crime or see the evidence against you.
John knows who he is. You know him better than anybody, John, right? He's a faker.
Hey, Shannon.
And he was a fake whistleblower, and it was a phony, disgraceful period of time.
Fake and phony, fake, fake, phony.
And we came out well. You know why we came out well? Because everyone recognized it for what it was, just a political witch hunt.
Thank you, Mary Dixon, and congratulations on selling your art.
He was a fake whistleblower.
Did he blow a fake whistle, or was the whistle, it didn't make a sound and they Foleyed it in later?
He wrote a story that bore no resemblance to the...
No, it bore exact resemblance. That was why everybody was shocked, because you put out a transcript that even though it was edited by your people before it was released, because it wasn't the actual word-for-word transcript, it even says so on the first page, it matched exactly what he said you said.
Conversation that
You said what he said you said.
had with the president of Ukraine. Nothing whatsoever.
No, everything.
By the way, the Inspector General, he went by the whistleblower. He didn't want to see the conversation that I had.
And he saw it, and it matched, and that's why you got impeached.
When he saw the conversation that I had, he said, well, that bears no resemblance to what the whistleblower said. Why did
That's not, he did not say that.
he look first before he ran to Congress?
That's funny. Why didn't you ask questions before you fired an IG just because Pompeo said so, who was looking into a Saudi arms deal and illegal use of taxpayer funds by your Secretary of State?
He ran
Where is the server that Pompeo is using for private emails?
to Congress like he couldn't get there fast enough with a whistleblower
Good
report.
God.
But when they offered him to see the actual conversation, and we called the head of Ukraine, and we said,
Look, if you don't agree with me, you're not getting anything.
I'd like to expose the conversation that we had, if you don't mind. He said, what was wrong with that? That conversation, as I say, was perfect. It was a perfect conversation. Not a thing said wrong. That's why we had
Everybody still, it boggles my mind where you keep saying perfect.
other than half a vote
Thanks,
from
Tara.
Romney. And
Absolutely.
Romney's, loser. But other than
Romney's a loser,
half
right?
a vote we had from Romney,
He's an actual billionaire, you know. I'm not a fan, but
I got 52.5%.
Mitt Romney has what? He's worth like a couple $1 billion and got no debt, basically. Maybe a house or something.
To a half. In the House, we got 196 to nothing, 196 to nothing. The Republicans were so unified.
Yeah, it's weird how unified you guys have been ever since the RNC hack, the hack on the RNC server, that none of the stuff came out. Unlike the DNC server, which a bunch of stuff was released from by whoever hacked it, Russians. Oddly enough, the RNC server was hacked, and instead of stuff getting released, Republicans everywhere just started acting really strange.
Not because they all liked me, but because
they had compromat on them.
They knew this was a horrible thing that happened.
That's why. They were just, it was the Lee Greenwood lyrics flowing through their veins.
But he was a fake whistleblower. He reported on a conversation that
Please tell us again that it was perfect.
didn't happen, just like Shifty Schiff. Shifty Schiff went up before Congress
And paraphrased what you said to put it in context to explain that you were acting like a mafia don.
because he
Adults understand this.
has immunity. In other words, you can't put him in jail if he lies, because they have immunity in the halls of Congress.
That's not what that is at
In
all.
that great hall. So he made a statement that was totally different from what I said. You know that.
He was paraphrasing it. Your actual statement, the entirety of it, is in the congressional record. He put it there. How dense are you? Does he not know that while he's saying what he's saying, he's putting the actual transcript in there and is saying, this is basically what this guy's saying to this other person. And he knows the actual document is being put in there. Why would he think he's pulling the wool over? Only someone who's incredibly thick would not understand that.
8 times quid pro quo. There were no quid pro quos. Nothing. 0. 8.
I didn't say quid pro quo in using that term. I said, say there's no quid pro quo, although that was a conversation that didn't actually happen either. But as long as I don't call it a quid pro quo, like, do you realize, I don't know if most people don't know this, but you can kill someone, chop them up and bury them, and if you never mention the word murder, it's the most you can get is manslaughter.
Times over and over again. And he made it as
But you have to say manslaughter.
though that was the conversation. But he knew that wasn't the conversation
Thank you, Brian.
I had. And any place else, he would have been thrown out of office and put in jail for what he did. But he had
No.
immunity because he made it in the halls. It should be the opposite.
Had immunity because reality exists. Because you can't criminalize someone paraphrasing and making a point. Especially when they're putting the actual statement word for word that you said into the congressional record at the same time. You toddler.
If you make a statement like that, if you lie,
Oh my God.
you should get double penalties, okay?
Double super indemnity.
So, that's the way it goes. So you had a phony
So you had this, it was fake. and fake news, and everyone teams up against me, and I don't know why nobody loves me, and everybody picks on me ever since I've been in there. I can't do anything. They don't let me do anything. They always pick on me. Poor me.
Whistleblower.
And there's fake whistleblowers, and the whole place is full of people, but I'm not paranoid. Everyone really is out to get me.
And this other guy with the hydroxychloroquine, okay, well, he went out, and he's the one that approved the hydroxychloroquine.
Oh, Dr. Bright. He's talking about Dr. Bright. So Dr. Bright approved it for a study, a clinical study, to check its efficacy, which is what you would have someone at the CDC or at the NIH do for any treatment that you plan on using or seeing if it has any possibility. If you're hearing anecdotal positives about something, or it's a kind of drug that's been used with coronaviruses before, you would initiate a study instead of going to the FDA and go, release this for use right away.
The one that signed the application. He also happens to be, if you look, see whether or not, I won't put it on me, I'll put it on you. See whether or not he was a big contributor to the Democrats.
Who cares?
See whether or not he wanted the Democrats to win. No, it's a lot.
Okay, let's say he totally did. Let's say he was completely for Hillary Clinton, and he raised money for her, hundreds of thousands of dollars, was on her potential inaugural committee. And what would he have gotten out of her being in office? The same job he had.
Bad things coming out about him.
Oh, yeah?
But you people don't want to write the news, you know, but
The fake news, you mean?
if you look, but he's the one that signed the application,
For it to be used in a clinical trial.
the very important form. He signed it.
For its use in a clinical trial. Not for the release, for abstract use all over the place, not to be given to patients who aren't under a direct medical supervision constantly.
Now, if he doesn't believe in it, why would he sign it?
I don't understand. If you already know the answers to the math quiz, why do I even have to take the math quiz? This is stupid. School is crap.
And a lot of good things have come out about the hydroxy. A lot of good things have come out.
Mm-hmm. You mean all the dead vets? You mean the report at the VA where it didn't work, and in the cases where it had any change in the patient's system, it killed them?
And you'd be surprised at how many people are taking it, especially the frontline workers, before you catch it.
Okay, so hydroxychloroquine has never been thought of as a way to keep from catching it. I guess the idea is that you take it all the time, and if you do catch it, its efficacy works before it takes hold as an antiviral. Is that what he's hoping for? Have we seen anything that where like doctors and nurses have come out and say, yeah, I take it all the time.
The frontline
just to take it.
Workers, many are taking it.
Where is that from? Where are you hearing that they're all taking it?
I happen to be taking it.
Yeah, so this is the part we've heard. I happen to be taking it. All right.
Be taking it.
I'm
taking it. Hydroxychloroquine.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it all the time. I'm taking hydroxy.
When?
Right now, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I started taking it. Because I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories.
He's been taking it for a couple of weeks because he's heard good stories about it. Bullshit.
And if it's not good, I'll tell you right, I'm not going to get hurt by it. It's been around for 40 years for malaria, for lupus, for other things. I take it.
Right. And now, granted, he's in a special situation because he literally has a 24-hour heart monitor on, as all presidents have to wear a little device so that we can make sure that they don't, if they have a heart attack in the middle of the night, everybody rushes in because it changes the entire country if they go down. So he's under constant medical supervision.
Frontline
Also, I don't believe it.
workers take it. A lot of doctors take it. Excuse me. A lot of doctors take it. I take it. Yeah, I hope to not be able to take it soon because, I hope they come.
Why would you stop taking it? Yeah, it's a Fitbit. Why would you stop? Why would you worry about stop taking it? It's nothing. What have you got to lose? Take it all the time. Even after this, what if you run into somebody who's got malaria?
Come up with some answer. but I think people should be allowed to. I got a letter from a doctor the other day.
Oh, that should do it. A letter from a signed doctor.
From Westchester, New York, around the area. He didn't want anything. He just said, sir, I have hundreds of patients.
It was in cutout letters from magazines. It said, sir, please take hydroxychloroquine. Signed, not a Dr. Democrat.
And I give them hydroxychloroquine. I give them the Z-Pak, which is zithromycin. And I give them zinc. And out of the hundreds of patients, many hundreds, over 300 patients, I haven't lost one. He said, please keep pressing that, sir. And if you look at that phony report that was put in, that report on the hydroxy was given to people that were in extraordinarily bad condition. Extraordinarily bad. People that were dying. No,
Yeah, a lot of people recover from this naturally. A lot of people move through it like either with low symptoms or no symptoms or mild flu-like symptoms or even harsher ones. They're not the ones who die. So taking hydroxychloroquine anecdotally when you're not dying can lead to a heart attack, or it just doesn't change the fact that you're going to move through this anyways.
I think for whatever it's worth, I take it. I would have told you that 3-4 days ago, but
it wasn't true.
Never had a chance because you never asked me the question.
Nobody ever. You brought it up. Nobody asked.
Doctor recommended.
Why would you be taking it? It's not a prophylactic against the disease.
Is that why you're
Yeah, White House doctor. I didn't recommend. No, I asked him, what do you think? He said, well, if you'd like.
Ask your doctor about the purple pill. That's right. Ask there's so much you can do with hydroxychloroquine. Throw golf footage of me. And then a shot of me at Mar-a-Lago smiling over chocolate cake. And then underneath it play all the hydroxychloroquine could lead to cardiac arrest if untreated. Do not take hydroxychloroquine unless you're under the complete supervision of a doctor. Do not pour it down the gullet of veterans who are comatose from other diseases just to see if it works.
I said, yeah, I'd like it. I'd like to take it. A lot of people are taking it.
I'd like to take it. We all would like to take a drug.
A lot of frontline workers
Bullshit.
are taking hydroxychloroquine.
Where is that from, too? I need to go look that up.
A lot of I don't take it because, hey, people say,
I don't take it, is really.
no, maybe he owns the company. No, I don't own the company. You know what? I want the people of this nation to feel good. I don't want them being sick. And there's a very good chance that this has an impact, especially early on. But you look at frontline.
Early on. You mean when people have low or no symptoms? It works very well with people who are going to move through the disease with no problem anyways.
Because you look at doctors and nurses, a lot of them are taking it.
Bullshit.
As a preventative. And they're taking, totally unrelated, but they take the Z-Pak or the zithromycin.
With zinc.
For possible infection. Now, I haven't taken that other than an original dose because all you need, you don't have to take it simultaneously. But the zinc you do take. So I'm taking the two, the zinc and the hydroxy. And all
Justin, he's taking it because he refuses to take the test that they say he's taking it every day, and his doctor thinks he's got
I
it.
can tell you is, so far I seem to be okay.
Well.
Sir, though, why you started taking it? Have you been exposed?
Yeah, because no, not at all.
Yes, he has. The vice president's press sec had it. She's married to one of his senior advisors.
Said that I've had so many letters from people like
That's how I take my, that's what you do. Crowdsource your medical advice.
What I told you about, I got it last week. I'll give you, would you like a copy of it? I'd love to give you, if you ask Molly, she'll give you a copy of it.
Yeah, ask all the letters you've gotten from people.
But this is a doctor, he doesn't want anything, I don't know him.
He says he is, I call bullshit.
Never heard of him. But he treats people that we're talking about. And he said out of hundreds of people that he's treated, he hasn't lost one.
And one letter. He keeps going back to one letter. If you got hundreds, this is like my own version of the Journal of American Medicine here. I'm getting so many reports. We've filtered it through we've got like a big conference call happening at the NIH and the CDC because so many doctors are seeing efficacy on this. They really are pushing for this. Hundreds of them. No, he's just going, a guy wrote me a letter. I think he thinks
so. Just wanted me to know about it. That's all. He wasn't saying, gee, could I have dinner with you, Mr. President? I'd like to come to the White House.
He'll bring him out.
But I've received many
He has to.
such letters.
And this guy will lose his medical license.
Received a lot of positive letters. And it seems to have an impact. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But
yeah, and when it doesn't, It can kill you.
If it doesn't, you're not going to get sick or die.
Yes, you are.
This is
No, it can kill you.
pill that's been used for a long time, for 30
People who have malaria, people who have lupus, under medical supervision, managed dosage.
years on the malaria and on lupus too, and even on arthritis, I guess, from what I understand. So it's been heavily tested in terms of, I was just waiting to see your eyes light
So are they giving it to you for arthritis? Is that what's up?
up when I said this, but, when I announced this. But yeah,
Holy
I've taken
shit.
it for about a week and a half now.
Yeah, since Katie Hill tested positive.
And,
it's been a week and a half since all those reports of people testing positive in the White House.
I'm still here.
Curious timing. I'm still here.
Still here.
Can you explain, sir, though, what is the evidence that it has a preventative effect?
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Go for it. Hit it, big guy.
Here's my evidence. I
All right.
get a lot of positive calls about it.
That's your evidence. All right, sure.
The only negative I've heard was the study where they gave it, was it the VA, with, people that aren't big Trump fans gave it, and we've done the greatest job maybe of anything in the VA, because I got VA choice and VA accountability, both approved. Accountability, Tillman, is where you can fire bad people that work in the VA, that you couldn't fire them. We had thousands of people that were sadists, that were stealing, that were robbers, that were horrible people. They'd beat up our veterans. They couldn't do it in prime time, but they did it when they were sick. And we
What? In prime time? Oh, you mean when they were younger and they were fit, but they would just beat up old people and you couldn't fire them? Of course you could fire them.
got accountability. Nobody thought you could get it because of the unions and civil service.
What?
I got it passed so that now you fire bad people in the VA. We got rid of tremendously bad people that should have never been there.
Good Lord.
But I also got, probably even more importantly, if you can say that, maybe not, VA choice. So if you have to wait online for a doctor, you go outside.
Dems have been pushing that for years.
You have a private doctor, we pay the bill. We work out deals with doctors.
They just didn't want to privatize the VA. Allowing the choice part was the Democratic idea.
So you go out, you pay the bill. And it was a great thing that we did.
Sadists, right.
We've done a great job with the VA, but they had a report come out. And the results of the report, it was a very unscientific report, by the way. But
Oh, really? Unlike a bunch of letters and phone calls that are very positive?
a lot of tremendously positive news on the hydroxy. And
Be well, Mary Dixon.
I say, hey, you know the expression I've used, John?
Oh, God.
What do you have to lose? Okay.
Your life, your cardiac health,
What do you have to lose?
your ability to breathe on your own.
So I have been taking it for about a week and a half.
Every day?
At some point, every day. I take a pill every day.
What other pills are you taking every day? Is that the only thing you're taking?
At some point, I'll stop.
Why? When? When there's a vaccine? How long are you going to be on hydroxychloroquine and zinc?
What I'd like to do is I'd like to have the cure and or the vaccine, and that'll happen, I think, very soon.
Good Lord.
Symptoms, sir?
Zero symptoms. No, I haven't had any. No, I test every couple of days. They want to test.
Every couple days, they want to test you. After Pence's issue, you guys were moving to testing every day.
For obvious reasons. I mean, I am the president. So they want to test me. I don't want to be tested, but they want to test me. So every couple of days I get tested.
Every couple of days.
And I've shown always negative, right? Negative. Is that the term you use for this, right? Negative.
Which is positive, but positive is negative. The Abbott test that you use, that you were supposedly getting tested with every day, is now every couple of days. And the problem with the Abbott test was you were getting 50-50 on negative results, meaning positive, meaning you thought in a positive way that you were negative, and so you would interact with other people, and that's why they had the spread in the White House.
Totally negative. No symptoms, no nothing. But no, I take it because I think I hear very...
Yeah, no slurred speech. No.
Things. Again, you have to go to frontline workers. Many frontline workers take it, and they seem to be doing very well.
Where are the interviews from these folks? Did we just see was there a Fox News segment and they interviewed a nurse who just I just take a dose every day, just what the hell?
Any any other members of your administration, Vice President Pence or your family
No, but I
members
wouldn't be
taken this?
surprised. I don't want to ask them because that's a personal decision as to whether or not you want to say. I just want to be open with the American public because, you know, I happen to think it's good. I do want the letter given because this letter made, not in terms of my taking it, but I thought it was a very well-crafted letter.
One letter. Look at this. This dude is a week and a half ago started taking drugs based on one letter from one doctor.
By a man who's a respected doctor up in Westchester, maybe a little beyond Westchester, a little.
In the general area, Jesus Christ, they are crawling up the ass of every doctor in Westchester right now. Did you write Trump a note saying you've had 300 patients, you put them all on hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and zithromycin, and they all lived?
And
why, yes, I did.
in New York.
Oh. Why, yes, I did.
And he didn't want anything. He just wanted me to know the results of what he's doing as a doctor. And he was so happy with the fact that I fight for this stuff. And then we have this crazy whistleblower, this fake whistleblower get out.
Who's a real person who you've actually met versus a letter from someone that you apparently don't know?
Try and, you know, knock it. Who signed the application? He did all
for it to be used in clinical trials to see if it works without harming people.
He did the signing. He was a believer.
Dunce.
At one point,
No, he wasn't.
assume. Otherwise, he shouldn't have signed it. No matter who told him to, he shouldn't have signed
Unbelievable.
it. Okay, one more question. That's
I'm doing all right, De Niro.
thank you all very much. Thank you, fellas.
Good Lord. Like, I mean, how do you walk away from, I mean, this is very curious to me, but how do you walk away from, like, saying that and then just get, like, wink and leave? Like, he just knew that was going to just set off a firestorm. That, and, oh, by the way, I'd like to show you guys something if I could, just to show you a little bit else, you know, on a lighter note. Fucking hell. Yeah, there we go.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
Okay, so
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
So in this, you guys will probably remember on May 15th, the president engaged, addressed this group of people, like with COVID. It was called the remarks at a presidential recognition ceremony: hard work, heroism, and hope. The 3 H's of the 4, and then 3 tries standing up. Yeah. He slipped and he said, started a couple days and started saying last week. He's all over the map at that part. But I want to show you guys something real quick. This is, you'll recall, this was the gathering together that we all watched with when the truckers were blowing their horns like this.
It's almost a celebration in a way. Please sit down, please.
Yeah, so the remember that part? Remember when the truckers were all saying that stuff? Hold on.
Thank you very much, please. Those are friendly truckers. They're on our side. It's almost a celebration in a way. Please sit down.
It's
please.
totally a celebration of the low wages they're getting and the danger it's putting them in. Thank you, Templeton Zagat. Yes, you have heard it here, folks. The Prez is a Pez dispenser guinea pig. He will just take any drug that's put in front of him by any, it helps if his doctor looks like Howard Hessman in a psycho mother wig. But yeah, so you'll recall that whole thing where it was.
The First Lady and I are thrilled to welcome you this afternoon for our second event, recognizing extraordinary Americans who have responded to the invisible enemy. We know what the invisible enemy is. We've learned a lot.
Okay, remember this. Reading with his finger, complete bullshit, all that stuff. Look what they took and made this into. Watch this. Check this out. This is what the White House put out from that event.
This difficult time, our citizens are rising to the challenge, just as generations of Americans have done before us. The men and women we honor today remind us that the bonds that unite us in times of hardship can also raise us to new heights as we reopen and recover and rebuild.
So he went outside, so they got relative audio, and he reread the whole thing either later on or at night or whatever to get the audio.
Months ahead, we will harness our love for our family, for our community, and for the country, and we'll make America greater and stronger than ever before, and we're going to transition into greatness. We're going to thrive, and we're going to do better than ever before.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, listen to that. And oh, and by the way, just in case like people thought, oh, this isn't the same event or whatever, they took his prepared remarks, which is fascinating. You can actually read what he had written there. I join a grateful nation in extending my sincere gratitude to countless individuals who have demonstrated remarkable patriotism in their response to the coronavirus national emergency. Over the past weeks and months, we have witnessed our incredible citizens perform extraordinary deeds, and even if if you think of it, deeds to protect and enhance the lives and livelihoods, if you think about it, of family, friends, neighbors, and other members of the community. Okay, so that's the whole. During our fight against the invisible enemy, and it truly is an invisible enemy as we've seen it, and we can't see it, and we see it very much. Melania and I have been continually inspired by our heroes. All right. So this little statement, that's what he had on that podium in this video.
With exceptional bravery and commitment and love, and we appreciate it very much. Great job. Fantastic job. In the midst of this pandemic, our nation has been united in grief and in prayer for the precious lives that have been lost. We've also come together in awe and admiration for the heroism.
Reading with his finger, never saw it before. Oh my God. And then they go back and remake this.
Time our citizens are rising to the challenge, just as generations of Americans have done before us.
And he doesn't even get the timing. He's speaking so much faster than he did in real life.
Women we honor today
the video of his mouth doesn't line up.
Us that the bonds that unite us in times of hardship.
I mean, he's not even talking in those other parts.
Can also raise us to new heights as we reopen and recover and rebuild. In the months ahead, we will harness our love for our family, for our community, and for the country, and we'll make America greater and stronger than ever before.
Ugh, still slithering his mouth. It's gross. Yeah, it's tax. You're exactly right, Rob. It's taxpayer-funded propaganda. He's just making these videos, like these campaign videos, and putting them out on there. I have Tourette's, and watching you help me go through this, and I thank you for that. I'm so glad, Yui. Thanks for being here. And I appreciate the 100 bits. That's lovely. Yeah, like that. Oh God, it's totally spliced together. It's all, I mean, and oh, you mean in the audio of him actually saying it? No question. There's no question that they went back through that and picked up all the audio, and they probably read it 7 different times, and they were like, faster, 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 and then we'll just chop up the sentences together and like, yeah, 1 sentence per take, maybe 5 words maybe. Holy smokes. I know that they're like crawling up the keister right now of every doctor in the Westchester area of New York. Like, that is frigging bananas. And I have to say, I'm shocked at the number of that Fox News broke in and was like, yeah, no, don't take hydroxychloroquine like that, you'll die. Don't do that. Like, they're so stung by I forget her name now, the woman who got booted off there for suggesting you followed the president's medical advice. She lost her show over it. Unbelievable. But now he's taking hydroxychloroquine. There's only one reason to even try hydroxychloroquine and zinc as part of your regimen, and that's either that he has arthritis, lupus, or malaria, or his doctor doesn't care if he lives or dies, or both. Or he has COVID-19 and he insists on taking it if he thinks he caught it. Yes, Fox broke into that in real time while he was saying it. Or right after that little chunk. They played that chunk. I don't know how much of it they rolled live. But good Lord. Thank you, William. Do you think he actually is taking it? No, I do not believe he is actually taking hydroxychloroquine and zinc. Unless he's got it. Unless he's got COVID and they're just filling him full of anything so that but I don't buy it. I don't think he's actually taking it. Maybe there's an off chance he thinks he's taking it. They might go, yeah, sure, yeah, take one of these. Look, I didn't realize how much hydroxychloroquine tasted like Tic Tacs. Yeah, just chew it up. It's good. You can suck on it for a little while. I'm from the future. He was punking the media. Yeah, Richard, I think it's going to be. I was being sarcastic when I said I was taking hydroxychloroquine for a week and a half. You guys just can't even tell. You guys don't know what of course I was being sarcastic. Good Lord. And yeah, all the more reason don't take it. I think I'm not alone, in the chat room certainly is as stunned as anybody else. And I have no doubt this will eat up the the airwaves over the next couple of days. But is this to cover the fact that that Pompeo's being gone after and the IG was fired because of the Saudi arms deal? Is it? I mean, is this just dissembly? Is that because this is just goofy. Again, everything is a Hail Mary right now. All of this reopening, all this stuff. If there's another spike, he knows he's screwed, but he knows he's screwed anyways if there isn't a rise in the economy. They need people to go out, and they need the economy to start ramping up again with or without a certain amount of deaths, so that it can be in a position where he can, have something to brag about in October, November. Because if it doesn't, if a bunch of people die, if we stay in any longer, the arc of when it gets high enough where he can brag on it, that point in the window, which is why Kudlow is sweating it up, is past Election Day. So basically, here's Election Day, and the ramp going up to it, they needed at this point for them to have something to brag about economy-wise leading up to it. But if we start, it's the ramp is the same size, barring deaths, going forward. And if we start later and later, it means that date happens further past the election cycle, and they know they can't take any credit for it because it was their mistakes that made it delayed. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Templeton Zarat. His window is closing on when he can open the country and get enough of an economic boost to benefit himself. And that in and of itself is horrifying. That's his reasoning. That's it. That's all he wants out of this. That's why he's saying we have to get our country open. That's why he's screaming it. And quite frankly, the problem that they're having is not that there aren't a bunch of assholes running out and filling places up, but those folks are not enough to get the economy back, because 80% of people are very reticent to endanger their lives for their job or going out to eat. So, whatever the amount of people that do go out, every business is blunted by people not wanting to die and not wanting there to be another spike, and and not wanting to overwhelm and murder a bunch of frontline healthcare workers because they have decided, screw it, let's all go out. And then you end up murdering a bunch of those folks and killing every elderly person or giving an ischemic stroke to people who are otherwise healthy because you wanted to go to a bar. And so the touch and go aspect of it, again, you have to approach this like you're walking on thin ice. It's the only way. And the problem is that's the healthiest and smartest way to actually make it work, is to walk like you're on thin ice. Make sure if you start seeing too many cracks, you take a couple of steps back. That's how you have to do this. He just needs it to flood out because he needs it to reopen like a week ago to reach the point that he wants it to be at, that the economy will start going up before the second wave in the fall hits, if indeed it is limited by weather. That's also what they're hoping for, is that the summer is good just because the summer is good. And by the time the cold weather hits, because of the weird weather cycles, that it'll get colder later. And that's when flu season will hit, and that's when we'll have the second wave, but it'll be after the election, it'll be too late. So the idea is that they believe in their head that that's going to be, the second wave is going to be delayed to the fall, that the summer, because of the heat and all that other stuff, will open things up. Never mind the fact that sick people carry it in their bodies wherever they go. And if they're just going from air-conditioned building to air-conditioned building, the hotter it is, the worse it is. Usually it's how things like this get wiped out. But the problem is people interact so much that they carry it with them. If they touch surfaces outside or go to the beach, that's not going to be as big a problem. But the best case for this virus, for its sustainability in an environment, and by the president's, it was like, I forget who was the part, like Department of Homeland Security did that. Remember when he said you shine the light in and you inject disinfectant and wash it out of the body? When he said that, he had just watched the Department of Homeland Security's statistics on where it like how long it lasted and in what environments. 70 to 75 degrees, 20% humidity. It could live on and on in perpetuity for a long period of time, and it could hang in the air for 60 minutes. That's an office building. That's a mall. That's the temperature that most indoor large-scale buildings are. There's no reason to believe it will change over the summer, especially if more people are going out. It's idiotic. But they're counting on it doing it. This is all their calculations. You can tell by how they talk about it. You can tell how he's talked about it. Like in April, it just washes through. It just goes away. You know, they're hoping the summer is light in cases. It goes down naturally and they can claim victory. And then when it comes back in the fall, it'll be after the election cycle and things will start ramping up. And he can just blame the delay on the economic issue to the transition to greatness. And that, you know, he's going to, you watch once I get in office. But if you put him in office, it's going to screw the whole thing up. That's the whole argument. That's it. So, yeah. Yes, he's pushing all his chips in, Templeton. That's 100%. Story of a nurse interviewed at a crowded bar in Wisconsin was interesting. Her hospital had to put out a statement trying to clean up the liability issues. Yeah, no doubt. Going through the chat room and saying hi to everybody. First wave is still developing in Georgia, Texas, Florida. Yeah, that's John Pelosi. That is a whole other can of worms too, because if you take out the downturn in California and New York out of the equation, everywhere else in the country is on a steady rise. Parts of USA still have cold weather. We're in mid-May. Yeah, it's staying in there. And again, once it does get hot in the very hot regions, that's the stability of the indoor environment is more consistent in very hot areas because they have to make it, you go out to eat or make you go to a mall or make you comfortable at work for long hours. Asked New York Times Associate Editor Mara Kay how serious it is and how easily she was infected after taking tons of precautions after a month plus. She's still struggling with it. Yeah, there's a woman who had it for 55 days. She still had symptoms. Yeah, and that's Andrea also. In the middle of all this stuff, we still get hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, other outbreaks, violence. I mean, there's tons of, like, on top of this. Part of the problem with COVID is not its intrinsic numbers, but its intrinsic numbers on top of normal everyday life. Right after they opened up LA to some degree, the traffic, the fatal traffic accidents started to spike because people were like frustrated and driving really fast and just needed to get out of the house and they were flipping out. So, that part's especially scary. Let's see. He could simply do his job, pass the stimulus, et cetera. We'd be safer and stronger. Yeah, that's no question. I mean, they're going to need to, yes, take plenty of vitamin D is very important. Make sure your dosage is up for that. Also, low dose aspirin isn't a bad idea if you're concerned about exposure at all. There are gullible people who believe that everything that Trump says will be demanding hydroxychloroquine. Yeah, that is a constant problem. That is his issue about, like, what have you got to lose? What's the big deal? Okay, the problem with that is those people are gonna, like, demand it from people, and they're gonna die. They're gonna die. Hey, thanks, Chris. It's not bad, you know, it's a fairly decent setup I got here. It's downright pro. If I could just get a wider green screen so it doesn't look like I'm being, you know, I'm losing my arms every time. That's the next step or whatever. If I can get a full green screen side to side, that's what we'll do. But until then, you know, it's not too bad. We have tons of people stop doing ridiculous speeds here. One kid was doing 310 kilometers an hour. Good Lord. I'm not an RN, but I worked in public health, and I agree any rushed vaccine is a dice roll. I want tests to be done to prove it's safe. Exactly. Well, like half of the, you too, Chris. Let's hang out. Let's plan our hangout. Let's do it. Do it from your art studio, and you can Bob Ross over my shoulder. We got to do that. How do we protect our kids from this medicine? We both have kids, so what do we do? Well, we want a truly verified vaccine for sure. Most children aren't affected by this, so they won't need it. It'll be mainly for people who are, in the, the first wave of the vaccine will be for people who are in highly concentrated areas where it's prevalent, and then out from there. In theory, if you have limited dosage. But yeah, kids aren't going to be getting this vaccine, and young people aren't going to be getting it anytime soon. It's mostly a grown-up one. Yeah. Why green screen's reasonable at Digital Juice? I will look at them, Jeff 9Cow. I will do that. We'll start doing like that'll be the super chat fundraiser things, because it worked for the cooling mat. The computer's sitting on a cooling mat right now, thanks to you guys. We'll start doing that for like bigger green screen stuff. If you guys have a suggestion, I'm all ears. The one I use is the pop-up, and it's great. It's just because my desk is an L shape, because I have my
Butthole! In the name of Zeus's butthole! Did you get out of your cell?
Since I have that over here, I have, I have to have an L desk where, like, for those of you that watched me writing music yesterday. So let's see. I feel like Trump will say he's warp speeding or death starring a vaccine, but it doesn't feel like he believes it will happen anyway. No, he's blowing that off entirely. What he wants is treatments that make it. I mean, it's almost like the AIDS crisis. I've said it's like the bullion cube version of the AIDS crisis. It's that whole time shrunk into a very small period of time. And at one point we gave up entirely, as most people did, on the idea that there's a vaccine for it, or even that you would never have a vaccine for AIDS. But there was prophylactics in terms of PrEP that came out that everybody was surprised by. And then there were treatments that could lower the viral load in somebody's body so low that they could, that they basically couldn't pass it on, that they, and it wouldn't actually be able to destroy their systems the way it had before. So I think most people are looking now at a couple of, other than hitting the wrong button here and there. The stream has been solid lately. You rock out. Thank you, Rob. Yes, the wrong button thing was a setup thing. I apologize. I'll work on that a little better. By the way, Stream Deck just got an update today, and I was playing with it earlier. That's supposed to allow it to change my scenes in Streamlabs OBS, and it worked before the show, but somehow after the show, it started to become a jerk. I'm not quite sure what the deal was, so we'll figure that part of it out later. But I'll test it off air, and that's what caused that little fluffle. But the quality's been solid, and I thank you guys for helping with that. The A5100 has been fantastic. The Cam Link is just what we need. I need to set up the camera on my phone so I can focus it using some other source, because trying to focus it, basically I just reach out into the thing and go, is that in focus? It's really stupid every time I do it. And you would think it would stay in the general setting, but I got to really lock it down on the distance. But it's got a very narrow thing. Oh, and my audio's crackling again. I don't know why that happens. That has something to do with this. Let's see. I think this has something to do with stream audio sometimes, just being weird. Figure it out. I don't know why that is. It's a curious thing, because it works fine. I've got compressors on it, all that stuff. It's just kind of maybe hit and miss. Might be, yeah. I want to do it, man. Talk more later. Wish more people could wear the mask. Yes, that's true. You should start hand painting masks. We should get you, Bono, we should get you a bunch of masks, and you can just paint the outside of them, because breathing the paint fumes would calm people down. Don't do it. Do you use a fisheye lens? No, I do not. I just use a wide angle lens to give it a touch of genuine television quality. You know what I mean? You like to experiment so much, it's amazing it all works. That's always why it's so good. Well, that's the thing, is I love, kind of cutting edge on this stuff. It means a lot, to be able to, to play with this and see, what we can accomplish as far as quality. If we can get, because we're near, other than some of my flubs and some of the audio stuff that goes on, and we'll forget about the other side, like the actual, Twitch and YouTube and Periscope, all their problems that I have no control over. Besides that, the ability to build quality like this and create a show that's sustainable, that's actually of what I would consider television quality, has always been the thing that I'm, searching for. So slowly but surely, it's getting to that point. And if I can get to that point and be able to run it entirely, or at least largely by myself, anything that you should take a pic and so you can see your setup. Oh yeah, it's a great, I'll post one. It's pretty gnarly right now. As far as this angle on what's on the desk, good Lord. But yes, I will post, I'll have Summer come in and take a live shot over my shoulder at some point. That would be really cool. But I started watching the first on your recommendation, really enjoying it. It's right up my alley. Nice. I'm a shitty typer. Aren't we all at certain times? Good Lord. So yeah, so that's that's been my kind of goal with this, is that if I can eventually get it up to where, because I have to say, let's see, when you're doing straight YouTube streaming, your quality is good, is not better than some of the so-called pre-COVID pros. Well, that's what I'm saying. So much of this is, possible, and it's just about tweaking those little pieces. This is the nerd talk after the show that you guys don't need to stick around for. I appreciate it, but I adore you guys, and thank you so much, Christina. Yeah, you guys don't have to. This is so geeky, but I just love this part of the process. Always have. I've always loved the production part of it, and and I'm building little things like I'm building a transition for the show that has my logo in it, all those kind of things, but it takes a little while because I'm new to that part of it, but I'm chipping away. But being able to present a show to you guys that to me looks as good as, as far as, as Talk Soup went, is already possible. I mean, I look at the VH tapes, and yeah, that's the VHS tapes I have of me doing Talk Soup. And this is as good a green screen, listen to me, a green screen as we ever hope for. I'm reading over there and I saw someone say queen in the thing and it just slipped into my brain, which happens. This is as good a green screen as we've ever cut out on that show. Yeah. So yeah, Nerd Halen is not an accident. By the way, I had to set up my system and practice working with it because they did that update on Logic, and I'm doing lyrics and singing on a new Nerd Halen song. So Caleb, if you're watching, they're on their way. I've been working on them. I wasn't happy with them right away, so it's taking me a couple of passes. Vocals are always the hard part. But anyway, so I'm watching it on YouTube, but popped onto Twitter to comment how much the look has improved. Well, thanks, Deanne. Yeah, it's, piece by piece, I've been chipping away at this because I just don't feel like people should watch a show that looks like crap. And if this stuff is all available, why not? Christina, if I love the nerd stuff, how I'm an engineer myself, and I'm taking care of my elderly mother who is hungry right now. I understand that. Please go feed her. Make sure you love the green screen. Me too. So that's my goal. So that I'm just saying, piece by piece, I'm expanding on this and improving the pieces. Watching you compose last night, doing multiple face palms. You're as real as it gets. Oh, thanks, Maria. Yeah, I get frustrated with my playing sometimes. Way better than Nerd Hagar. We do a couple of Nerd Hagar songs. Yeah, so get used to that as an idea too. I learned how to sing. How do I know when it's love? When it's love. The other day, and I was practicing singing it in the car because it's the only place I can do it without annoying the family. And I got it. I got the notes. The whole even the I can't tell you, but those notes. I was like, oh, there they are. I was so good. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on. And then if I can get my guests rolled in at a quality that's equal to that, good Lord, it'll be so good. You recommend Periscope or YouTube for your streams? YouTube, always. I'm eventually going to bump off of Periscope almost entirely, except for like maybe the first half hour or something, just because, I mean, I obviously have a big presence on Twitter for me, so I use it a lot, but I just feel like the limitations on how you control like and mod that chat is too limited. Yeah, I got the dummy battery that I was waiting for. That's why we're using this camera now. Thank you for asking, and Andrea. And then the laptop is sitting on a cooler right now, so that's why my face isn't doing the whole max headroom thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I know. I just feel like YouTube is more manageable as far as that, and that, like, YouTube and Twitch are the good channels for me to build on. And if I spread everything too thin, the problem is I don't build a base of a lot of people who like the show, which is great. Our numbers are really good, but they're across 4 platforms. And so if I do it across 4 platforms forever, eventually I'll never grow enough of one to make it spike. So that's the thing. Before Hal jumps off suddenly and disappears. You what? Hold on. Everyone stay healthy, safe. Oh, thank you, Jim. Absolutely. Loved the music writing last night. It was on as I did my work. Oh, that's great. Well, I will continue to do that. I'm going to only really do that around ballads sometimes, because the heavy stuff, it can be a bit noisy and disconcerting. So I figure when I'm working on a piano ballad or something, that's something I can just leave on as I work, or acoustic numbers, you know. Although, little inside baseball, one of the things I've been wanting to do with 01 are decades albums. This has been a goal for me for a long time. So we're going to do a 70s album, an 80s album, and a 90s and a 2000s album, all original songs, but in the sonic quality and style of those decades, because we all kind of have influences from all of them. And rather than make these mix and match records of mixed influences, I'm gonna, pick a year, like it'll be like 01, 77, and it'll be an album of 70s sounding songs and like classic rock style stuff. And then there'll be an 80s record that's called 84 or 86, probably 86. And then 92, because I'll probably do a little more Alice in Chains, Pearl Jammy sounding stuff than I will, Limp Bizkit and whatnot. And then the 2000s one will be, obviously, I'll just call it 2001 because, but it'll be for the first decade as far as rock. And so the inspiration for those time periods is, it's like a good, it's a jumping off point for the creativity. You can easily shut off auto moderation and Periscope in your settings. I tried that, and if I do that, there's, it's just everybody votes people out, but it's still a pain in the butt. And like assigning people is a pain too. Sounds like you're saying the size of the audience matters, Hal, but my wife assures me the size doesn't matter. I'm so confused. She's She's a keeper. So there you go. Sometimes the comments don't appear on Periscope. Yeah, well, that's because I have to bump them out, or Restream isn't as good getting it in there. That's the other thing. It's good at carrying it across other platforms, but not necessarily there. So that, so when was Nirvana? Early 90s. So that would probably be around that side. We should suggest songs for you. Yeah, but they're going to be original, Andrea. They're not going to be, we're not doing covers from those decades. These will be original songs, but just inspired by the kind of music that we listened to during that time. And try to sonically make them sound as much like the decades as possible. That's my goal. So that's been something that, I'm never one for small projects. It's just a matter of getting it done. It's the hard part. So anyways, you guys, I will sign off now because it's 5:35. We've had a full one today. And by the way, I would like to say for the record, I am not taking hydroxychloroquine and zinc, and neither should you, unless your doctor says it's your last resort, or you have lupus or malaria and they're treating it and they're supervising the treatment of it, and you don't have problems with heart arrhythmias, and you should take maybe, I suggest checking your vitamin D levels and talk to your doctor about maybe a low dose aspirin if you're concerned about strokes because you're under 50. So there you go. Wrong the voting is the group moderation. You can shut that off. I see. Okay, so if I shut that off then, but I can't get anybody else to sign on. I'll look into it, Cosmic Rose. Thank you for letting me know, and I appreciate your icon more than your avatar. Patreons assemble. That's right. You can support the show through Patreon, patreon.com/AlSparks. It's basically until we can go live again at any other unit. This is the only thing I got going because I'm locked in the house like everybody else is. So your support is greatly welcome. If you can't afford to support because of all the stuff that's going on, don't worry about it. Just come, and I'm glad to entertain and offer you a touch of sanity during these crazy times. And if you're at any point, if you're watching this as a troll, or you're upset, or you're a Trumpster, and you think I'm disrespecting the presidency and all that kind of stuff, understand I have respect for our country, our flag, our president. I would never burn it. I would never insult our armed forces. I would never disrespect our Constitution. And because of those things, I will make fun of this fool and as long as he is in office. And I will do it brutally and without reservation, because he's a clown and he urinates all over the founding fathers' plan for the building of this country every day he's in that office. So, yeah. That's how I feel. And if you don't feel that way, you're welcome to watch. I will bounce your comments because you'll probably be a jerk. But you're welcome to comment in there and watch the show, because it helps me. It builds my my numbers in the algorithm. So I appreciate you, and I thank you for contributing to the show and making sure that we grow all the time. And to our regular contributors and everybody in the chat room, I adore you guys. I really do. It's so awesome. I look forward to seeing you guys every day. I will be on again tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I will be adding stuff that I'll be doing, like I'll be, game streaming and other stuff at different schedules. But as hard as I can, I'm sticking to a 5-day-a-week, 3 o'clock, Monday through Friday, except on Thursdays, which is 4 o'clock, and then Saturdays for the radio show. And then if I can, get back on at 3 o'clock on Saturdays if something happens, to add that in. It's kind of an extra session, as it were. And then Sundays only if there's something that I want to play out. And yesterday I just played music, but it'll be something along those lines. I'm not going to let you guys watch me sing unless I'm feeling really braggadocious, because it usually takes me a lot to work up my nerve to sing in studio like that. It's very weird. Maybe it's something I need to get over. You know what? Maybe I will live stream it, because I got to get used to the idea of that part of it. Maybe it's a good lesson. You know what? Forget what I said. It's probably better. There you go. And thank you, Amos, for being a proud patron. I appreciate it, like everything you guys. Sing Dio. Okay. There's something Dio related that I'm already working on. That's all I'm going to say. So that might be the one. And that I'm definitely filming while I do it. So that's a different thing too. Yeah. All right, I'm going to sign off. You guys are wonderful. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, Can't Stop Lying, and everybody for that's helping moderate the chat and take care of us and remind everybody. And like Can't Stop Lying reminds everybody, reach out to somebody, and let them know you're thinking about them. Because during all this, if you're talking about the mental health effects and the deleterious effects of being locked in or away from people, think about those people who are outside your normal bubble of interaction, even the people that you have been, family members and whatnot that you have been FaceTiming or Zooming with or what have you. Find somebody, scroll down a little further, reach out a little further, reach out and say somebody, send some love to somebody. Doug Pinnick from King's X lost his mother today. He and I have been trying to figure out a time to FaceTime and touch base, and he went to see her, but they lost her today. I love him so dearly, and I know it hit him really hard. I don't know, nor can anybody, if it was COVID related, I think right now, because she was so elderly. But Doug, if you see this at any point, I love you, and we're all thinking of you. And I was a huge fan of Fred Willard's. I have a hard time talking about people's deaths online anymore. I started RIPing like everybody in the very beginning, and now I don't know. I'm like transitioning through how I should respectfully talk about those kind of things, because it just feels kind of a cheap thing to throw up a tweet about something. But other times you want to let people know how much that person mattered to you. And these days I've just decided that when an actor or a musician passes, or somebody that I cared about, more than likely I'm going to put a quote up from something they did, or a lyric or something that I love, and then just say thank you to them because that's the only way that I feel like I can honorably pay tribute online, remind people of their work and show what part of their work affected me specifically. So more and more, if it seems strange what I post when somebody passes, you know, that's because I'm making that as a specific choice. I think everybody has to talk about, they have to figure out a plan for how you're going to deal with these things when they happen, because they will. So, anyways, I love Doug, and my heart breaks for his family. And Fred Willard, bless you for all the laughs you gave. I met him at several events and charity things. He was a doll, and I want to, like, I have to say this. I want you guys to know I appreciate you. Everybody's a little bit scared about their own mortality as well, and so I see your names float by, and I know the interaction gets tough, and I know a lot of you just are busy interacting with each other in the chat room, but I want you to know that when I see your name in there and it goes by, even if I can't interact with it because I'm doing the show or doing whatever, I feel better knowing you're there. I feel better that that today at least you're good, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, because it's very reassuring to know that you guys are okay. So even when we are going through tough stuff. So that's all. I just wanted to say that. You guys are fantastic. I will see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, somebody's thinking about you, even if it's not just me.
That was really cool, by the way.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's a dick fur. What's a dick fur?
To pee with.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
The sportos, the motor...
I'm a dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. I gotta barbecue your ass in molasses.
That's great psychology. Why don't you just say something bad about my mother?
I feel no shame, only pride, because my syphilis is a badge of honor. I guess what I learned most of all was that you should always take responsibility for your actions, unless you don't have to.
Just the facts, ma'am.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
Butthole! In the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
This is my sister. You can all have her. I hear she's very good.
Just looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
Butthole!
All right. Stop right there, and I'll bring back the sun.